It's gonna take a lot of shout to get that stain out. Ew. Roll the intro. There's so much drama going on right now. Hey, what is up all my social climbing friends? It's Dustin and I am back with another video. If you clicked on this video, you want to hear about Gage and James Charles. There is a whole wealth of different videos that are going around the internet about this situation. However, myself and other drama channels were sent these text messages. They were leaked to us and they do give a little bit of context to the whole entire situation. Now I do want to say that I did record this video previously, but I got halfway through it and I realized that the way that I saved the screenshots, they were out of order, so the video made no sense at all. So I apologize. So this is my second go around. I want to say that this video is going to be incredibly long. I know that you guys do not like reading these messages when they are on the screen, so I'm going to be reading them for you. Also want to preface this video by saying that in no way am I trying to diminish the Me Too movement, bisexuality, or anything like that, because I've seen a whole lot of arguments and comment sections about videos such as this one. I just want to say that if you put yourself into a bad situation, you can't expect good to come from it. And in my opinion, just my opinion, I do feel like this guy did put himself in a situation where he was opened up to a possibility of being like come on to, if that makes sense. But he did lead James on from everything that I've seen, as well as these text messages. So I mean, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm not trying to diminish the value of any argument that anybody is saying. I'm just here to spill the tea. I know that I'm probably one of the last drama channels to get around to making this video because your sister has been going through it. Literally the other day my back started hurting out of nowhere for no reason at all. I could barely walk. I went and got my hair done. I literally crawled into the salon. But this video is going to be long enough. Let's just jump into these text messages. Grab a snack, get a bottle of water or Mountain Dew, which is my preferred drink of choice, and let's read these text messages. I am going to be reacting to them as I read them, so if you want to skip forward, you can. I will be giving a commentary at the end of this very long video, as well as a recap in my opinion, so let's just get right into it. So the conversation starts, and this is Gage saying, "You unfollowed me first, and I checked." James replied and said, "My friends are the most important people in my life, and although the red flags made them upset, those issues are not the most important ones. You only addressed the problems that made them dislike you rather than talking about how you treated me. You ignored the kissing, the public hand-holding kiss, the photo stories and feelings portion of my message, which was actually what matters if you were trying to figure things out." Now, for those of you that don't know, you probably already do, Gage did make a video and upload it. If I can remember, I will link it in the description box of this video for you guys to go see. It is important to give full context, and if you haven't seen that, you may miss something. There may be something that I do not cover or I may forget to say in this video. Gage replied to this and said, "Sorry, I wanted to wait to get back to you till later. I have class until 8 p.m. Also, if you want to talk face to face, I don't have class tomorrow. Also, that video, that's not you, is it? Looks so fake even if it's two people." And I'm assuming that this is the whole pop video, the pop video that was heard around the world that went viral on Twitter of this person getting their sucked on the Ferris wheel at Coachella. Why this would be in the conversation between them two, I have no idea. James responded and said, "Yes, I somehow managed to get onto the Ferris wheel and suck someone else's when you weren't paying attention." James then said, "I don't think that I will have time to meet up in person tomorrow, and I also don't think it's a good idea. If you have a response, I'll look forward to reading it tonight when you get out of class." Gage replied and said, "Okay, if you change your mind, I'm free. If not, I'll get to you tonight." James said, "I'm physically in New York less than 8 hours, so I'm not going to have time. You can text me your response later." So then on April 16th, Gage says, "Hey, I think we should talk in person, seriously. Wherever you're at for like 2 minutes, I'll swing by." James replied and said, "Why should I give you the time of day? And what the are you going to tell me in 2 minutes?" Whoa, sister is pissed. Gage replied and said, "I mean, I wasn't being an asshole. I was seriously being honest with you the entire time, James. I don't care what anyone is saying." James responded and said, "I think you were." Gage then responded and said, "Some people just aren't meant to be with other people. That's the truth, and you won't know until you're with someone. Am I wrong?" No, Gage, let me give you a life lesson. You automatically know that oil and water do not go together, as well as like matches and gasoline or matches and kerosene. So you don't have to be in a relationship with someone to know that you're not meant to be together. That's just my outsider's opinion. That's how I look at things. Like, that's one of those things that you'll probably learn with time. You don't have to date someone to know that you can't be with them. Usually when you start dating someone, before you start dating them, you have like an open line of communication where you can actually determine if you think that you would be compatible with said person. Just a thought. James replied and said, you went for a free Coachella ticket and did just enough to make me think you like me whilst taking photos and hanging on me in public for attention. You knew you didn't want to be with me all along and you still went for a free ride, which is gross. And what I said in the intro, basically, like, I feel, and this is just my opinion, that this guy did in some way kind of string James along to make him think that he wanted to be with him, or like maybe he was interested in him in some way. Two people can look at two different scenarios and get different information, and that is just what I pulled from this whole situation from watching videos and things like that. So I do feel like in some way that this guy Gage did try to use James for clout, possibly. Gage replied and said, I told you to your face I'm not going to say I liked you, and you know that. No, that's not true. James said, you're a piece of shit, dude, and I hope that you never do this to anyone else. Gage replied and said, dude, you know I was being honest. I just want to sidebar for a moment. From all of what I've seen and what's in these text messages, if I were James, like looking at it in an unbiased perspective, like you guys know how I feel about James. I don't hate James. I don't love James. I'm very neutral when it comes to James. It does seem like this guy was giving him mixed signals and mixed emotions and mixed feelings about the entire thing. So I don't know that James really knew how to take this situation and go with it. Like, if I were James, in my opinion, I would have just left this situation alone, because this dude just sounds like trouble. And honestly, when you have a platform like James, you are very open to people using you, and he should know that by now. I know that you don't want to look at people that way, but that's just the name of the game in social media. People will use you for any and everything that they could possibly use you for, which is sad, but people do it all the time. James said, just to clarify, you're telling me you've come to the conclusion that there is no feelings there, correct? To which Gage responded and said, what you're saying is not false. Yes, I did go to Coachella with you, but I did not deliberately go out there to hurt you. And James says, answer my question with either correct or incorrect, nothing else. That is very pointed. Like, that is a very pointed question. I feel like this guy should just come right out and be like, yes, I did, or no, I didn't. Gage responded and said, no, man, there's not. You know, I went there to meet you and find out if there was a feeling. But again, I'm always being true with you. And to be honest with you, no, there's not feelings. And that is what I found out. It's not you though. I really liked you, but I'm not attracted to men, and I think you're really cool and awesome and all that stuff. So face-to-face closure would be nice. I'm just sorry you hate me so extremely, because I never wanted you to feel like that. Like, I've done the whole internet dating thing. I've done the whole internet mingling thing. The relationship that I'm in now for almost 12 years. I met my partner on MySpace. I've dated guys previous to this from the internet. You know, like, in your gut, the butterflies that you get when you speak to someone, if you were into them or not. It does not take a face-to-face encounter, in my opinion, or in my experience, to know that if you really like someone or not. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't understand this guy's reasoning. I could be wrong. Do you have experiences where you have to meet someone face-to-face or not? I mean, I spoke to the people that I dated and messed with, like, previously, like, very extensively. I don't know the context or how long these people spoke or how long that they got to know one another across like a phone platform, but like, let me know what you think down below. Gage said, I hope you feel like that's a fair response. James responded and said, cool, I hope you've learned from this. If I ever find out you did this to someone again, I promise you that you will be sorry. Do not talk about me or post any of those photos, please. Don't contact me again. Whoa. Okay, sister snapped. James then wrote a really, really long reply and said, please do not make a video about me. I was nothing but extremely kind and generous to you for the past several months and dealt with you playing with my feelings both online and then in person. You knew what you were doing to me, and even if your intentions weren't malicious, they hurt me. A lot I shouldn't have tweeted earlier, and I deleted it, and I apologize. I was angry because my followers clearly have caught on, which is exactly what I didn't want. And you're getting attention from hurting me. Your side is the same exact side as mine, and after everything you've said and done to me, the fact that you still want to continue to use me for attention and followers is really, really scary and sad. You've gotten a few comments, but if you make a video, it'll turn into thousands for both of us. Please allow us both to move on in peace. I will not bother you again, and I ask that you please do the same. And you know, the internet being the internet, it just didn't work that way. This guy didn't listen to James. James deleted the tweet, but he shouldn't have put the tweet out to begin with because he brought more attention to the situation. So in my opinion, Gage is not completely at fault for this, and then neither is James. Like, they're both wrong. So Gage responded and said, hey James, listen, this whole thing got blown out of proportion. I'm sorry you feel the way you do, but I feel really conflicted too. You blasted my name with the power and stand you know you have, and now I'm getting a ton of crap for it too. I won't make the video at all, and we can move forward if you just did as much as clear my name and address what's going on. I think that'll be best for both of us, considering you said yourself your tweet was wrongful. You set your expectations very high, and I had let you know everything about how I felt throughout this whole time. You can't just go and spin it saying I'm a con artist and manipulator because you feel you got hurt. We had no prior real relationship, man. You can't just expect me to have feelings and do all this stuff with you like that movie in your head. I'm sorry, but that's on you. Now, I know everything that I've said in this video thus far, it does seem like I'm really like taking James's side, but this is like a clear response, like my first initial response to reading all of this. I didn't get this far in my original video, and I didn't read the messages before, if I'm being quite honest. But if somebody was to talk to me like this and say that movie in your head, I would be very, very offended and very, very angry, because that is in some way him talking down to James. Now, I do know that James being so pointed in the things that he's saying to him could also come across as condescending. So again, this is just a very bad situation that they've both put themselves in. And here's where James just completely pops off and sends this like really, really, really long message. And it's gonna kill me to read it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I can't, but I will. James said, you've gotten 3,000 new followers and roughly 500 comments from my tweet that only got 2,000 likes before I deleted it. It will blow over in less than a week because people will forget and get bored. Clearing your name will give you more followers and attention, which is exactly what you want. And I will not give that to you. My tweet wasn't wrong, posting it was. I did not set my expectations at anything. You came saying you wanted to make things right in person and test out how it would feel to be in a relationship. You did not come saying I'm straight, we are just friends, but I want to meet you, or I would not have said come, and you know that. You are a manipulator because you weren't interested at all the whole time, but kissed me, held my hand, and cuddled with me in order to make me feel comfortable around you. Bring you to Coachella, follow you, and be seen with you in public, which got you the followers and attention you were looking for. I may have wanted more than what was realistic, but your actions and words were what caused that. I've gotten messages from a few other people saying that you've tried to use them for followers too. You knew what you were doing and you got what you wanted. Now let me move on with my life and you move on with yours. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so dramatic. Gage replied and said, totally see your perspective, but firstly, I had 100,000 a couple weeks ago and I got to 122 on my own. It's not about the 3K I got from this BS. You said yourself you DM'd me when I had 20K. The thought that I would be using you for attention is far from realistic, considering the growth of my account has hardly been affected by your tweet or any interaction that I made with you. I was perfectly content in my success before you, and the reality of the situation is that you've only broadcasted your narrative. The extent of your one-sidedness has cost me my reputation for you to tell me just to deal with the hate. It's selfish and unacceptable. I understand that this is something you deal with on a daily basis, but we fortunately do not live the same lifestyle. I cannot simply let it die down. You decided for me how this situation will play out by refusing to clear my name and telling me I couldn't either. I don't want to argue. The last thing I want to do is drag it on. To be honest, I won't allow this one-sided narrative force on me. At the end of the day, social media is social media, in my opinion. If James put out a narrative that this guy didn't agree with, if he didn't want to make a video or James didn't want him to make a video, I would have made a video to clear my name. At the end of the day, you can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do, and I feel like they were both in the wrong, in my opinion. James didn't want him to make a video and he wanted James to clear his name when he could have made a video. Like, this is child's play to me. This back and forth banter is completely toxic. James replied and said, literally, what would you say in a video? You're straight but flew to Coachella to try and see if you wanted to be with me and kiss me there, and I gave you a free VIP band and a place to stay and paid for a first-class ticket home for you. You realize that doesn't make you look great, right? And if you lie at all, I have all the receipts to prove it, and my attorney will get involved. Unleash your inner lawsuit, sis. Like, this whole situation, like, in every situation, James, you don't have to call your lawyer. It's never that deep, dude. Well, I mean, it does get that deep, but like, over a quarrel with a guy, like, I can't wait till James gets married. I hope to God that he has whoever that he marries sign a prenup, because could you imagine divorce court with James Charles? Bitch, Gage replied and said, "No, I will say the truth that I told you I was exploring my sexuality. Bi-curious is a real thing. I know you bought the flight because you wanted me to stay, and it was the only flight back without being an 18-hour flight, and we stayed up looking." So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can't help but feel like this guy knew what he was doing, and this is just my opinion. Like, he went under the guise that he was going to, like, explore this with James, or they had been talking for some amount of time, that they were going to get to know one another in person, because this guy apparently could not judge if he wanted to be with someone before meeting them in person, which makes absolutely no sense to me. As I stated before, you know when you talk to someone on the internet if there's a connection there, like the butterflies and things like that. But he then proceeded to go to Coachella with James. He allowed James to give him a free VIP band at Coachella. They took pictures together. There was also an Instagram story where this guy was kissing him on the cheek. So I do feel like he was buttering James up in some kind of way. I don't know if it was like his conscience being like, hey, I'm using this guy, let me entertain him for a bit, or what. James responded and said, "You told me you wanted to stay because you were having fun." Gage replied and said, "And I really thank you and appreciate you with providing me with a place to stay and the ticket, of course. Everyone will be informed that is what happened because it's the truth." As much as I talk about James Charles and as much as he grates on my nerves, like, this right here ain't it. Like, this is mixed signals 101. James replied and said, "You were never curious though. You just wanted a trip to Coachella and to be seen with someone, and you know that." Gage replied and said, "How the hell do you know that, James? If I say I'm bi-curious, you can't just say no, you're not." And I agree, you can't say that someone's bi-curious or if they're not. Maybe, honestly, this was just a case where this guy is bi-curious and he wanted to maybe experiment with James, but he got there and got cold feet. Or maybe he wasn't attracted to him. I don't know. I'm not in this guy's brain or anything like that. Maybe it was just a case of him not being into James. But James replied and said, "Because that's the only excuse you could possibly use to try and get out of this." Gage replied and said, "I actually was, and that's a fact, because everyone would bully me about it as jokes, and people would say it in my Insta when no one knew, so it's been in my head for a year. I used to get called Gay Gage because my name has gay in the word Gage in the 6th grade. I mean, everybody gets called gay in the 6th grade. I'm actually gay, and I got called gay, faggot, and all that stuff all the time as a child. Like, all the time. Girl, I'm getting so tired of reading. Like, if you're still here, like, I appreciate you." James replied and said, "So you're making a video saying you were curious about your sexuality and decided the perfect weekend to figure it out was to invite myself to visit my friend James Charles that I've been stringing along for months, and asked to go with him to Coachella, where I knew he had an extra VIP ticket. He and his friends were all incredibly kind and welcoming to me. They gave me a place to stay and paid for my food, kept me safe at the festival, and James bought my flight home when I told them I was having fun. I kissed James, fell asleep, and wouldn't let him pull away from cuddling when I had a headache, and I told him I couldn't wait to see him again when he was coming to New York in a few days. Unfortunately, fan accounts got a hold of photos of us and started leaking that we were together. I got followers, but then proceeded to tell him after 4 months I had no feelings." James is being so bitchy right now, but I kind of understand why. Gage replied and said, "James, you are exceptionally successful no matter what age group, but not for you to tell me I have no reputation is kind of mean. I have friends and family back home. I know you cut everyone off back home, but oh, didn't I have people too?" I don't know what that means. James said, "You told me you haven't talked to your parents in a month and have 5 friends at the city college you go to. You're a compulsive liar, and I promise you that making a video isn't going to go well." James shouldn't have said that. Like, I don't feel like you should ever try to, like, silence someone from sharing their experiences, regardless if it's a lie or whatever. Like, it's not up to you to silence someone. Like, that is wrong. Because ultimately, if they tell a lie, it's gonna be found out regardless. Gage went on to say, "And if people think our sides are the same or different, that's up to them to decide. But they have only heard yours and your extreme emotional response on Twitter, not mine. I'm sharing my truth, not bashing or exposing you, James. That's not what I want." And James said, "Why don't you address it on your story and say I'm bi-curious and wanted to experiment with my sexuality, and through doing so I hurt someone's feelings that I did care about. We are not together and have mutually decided to leave each other alone. Now, to play devil's advocate, what if this guy is not bi-curious and they'll say that he did just use James? That would kind of be like a hard thing to put on social media. Like, to own something like that, that is a big thing, especially in the eyes of social media. James Charles' reaches so far. Like, if this dude isn't gay, he knows the stigma that comes with it. If he's not bi, he knows the stigma that comes with it. But he was openly seen on an Instagram story and in pictures with James Charles, being like really lovey-dovey and touchy-feely. James said, "My fans are already following you, so they'll see it." And Gage said, "I'll say exactly that." James then said, "So what's the point of making an entire video? Post it on your story and move on. It's clear that you want attention and followers from making a video, which is going to make you look even worse." Gage said, "No dude, you don't understand. I don't care about these followers. In order to explain myself, it won't fit on a story. I'm just gonna make a video and put it up because it's much easier to share to whoever cares." Like, honestly, like, nobody really cares that much. They don't. Like, I'm not saying that, like, they don't care about them as people, like James Charles and this guy Gage, but, like, honestly, whoever dates whoever, like, I really don't think that there's that many people that care about it. Like, I just don't. James said, "That's ridiculous and you know it. You do care about the attention or you wouldn't be making a video. You want to clear your own name and make excuses for yourself and try to make me look crazy." Gage said, "No, I care about my image in my town and my school, not about the ego and attention. That's what you aren't listening to me about. I don't want you to look crazy at all, James. I said I will never do that." And James said it's bigger than that. But my whole thing is, like, is this guy trying to clear his image of him being bisexual, or is he trying to clear his image of him being a con artist? Like, I'm really having a hard time deciphering what this guy is trying to say, because in my opinion, it could come across both ways. Like, is he, like, resentful of the fact that he could possibly be bi-curious, or that he may be bi, or is he, like, mad that James called him a con artist? Like, I'm really having a hard time understanding and discerning this whole entire situation because it's just that much of a mess. Gage said, "No excuses." James said, "You aren't addressing your town and school." Gage said, "Just my side." James said, "You're adding the 100,000 people that are following you, including my fans. And if our sides are the same, people think I am a con artist. It's up to them to decide, but I need to do this for myself, not the attention." But this dude clearly knows that he's gonna get attention. This is too much. It's too much. This video is already incredibly long. Like, the things that I do for you guys. I could have talked about Jake Paul and Tana today, but I literally had so many people tweeting at me about this. Like, Gage said, "And I'm not bashing you, I wouldn't do that. This is for myself and my family and friends to stop being harassed, so everyone knows my side, not just this dumb video and tweet and all of that." Literally, and you guys know this if you're watching this video, that James Charles' stans don't care. They're gonna harass him regardless because they feel like he did James wrong. So him putting out a video is not gonna clear his name on anything, in my opinion, because these people that love James and stan James, their opinions of him are never going to be wavered. So this dude putting out this video really isn't going to help his situation anymore, but probably bring more light to the situation and make it even worse. James said, "You do, Gage. That's all you care about. You played with me for 4 months of my life, stringing me along and making me think there could be feelings, and then flew to me and spent the weekend kissing me and leading me to believe you liked me even more. You wanted attention and you got it. Why can't you be happy with that instead of making my life more miserable?" Gage replied and said, "I didn't play with your feelings. I honestly was curious, and that's what I will say in the video. So I thought there was a chance, no lie at all, and I looked at it as openly as I can. Maybe I sent the wrong message, but I was totally honest with my feelings with you. When you said, 'Do I like you?' I said, I'm not gonna lie and say yes. I don't care about the attention. This is for me." James replied and said, "Tell your friends and family the truth if they ask, and let the fans get bored. I promise they will go away after a few days." And Gage said, "I don't want to make your life miserable. My life is miserable reading this. Like, I feel like this is some note that was passed between two kids in high school. I know that these kids these days don't understand that that's how we used to communicate with one another, but we used to pass notes back and forth, and I guarantee you that if we were passing notes, this much would not be said, and this would have been nipped in the bud like 20 text messages ago." Gage then said, "I'm not playing the Me Too card. I'm not bashing your name. I'm just saying I'm not an asshole, essentially clearing up your tweet." We're getting there, guys. I promise. I promise. I promise. This is probably the longest video that I've ever made. James said, you can't play the Me Too card. We did nothing other than kiss and you were not forced into anything. I have video evidence of you kissing me voluntarily and 11 witnesses that were there and watched the whole thing happen. 2, we talked for 5 months starting on December 8th, 2018. In that time, I blocked your number and Snapchat a total of 6 times, wanting to move on because I felt as though you were wasting my time and you each time came back to me apologizing and asking to talk again. 3, you FaceTimed me late at night on Saturday, April 6th and asked me to check. Snapchat, you messaged me saying I've been in denial about a lot of things and need to talk to you. I'm coming to LA. After you did not reply the next day, I blocked your number. You called me from a fake number on Thursday, April 11th in the morning and told me you wanted to see me face to face to figure out your feelings and see how a relationship with me would be in person. You did not say that you were straight and not interested. In fact, yesterday via text messages, you admitted to me in writing that you are bi-curious. 4, you invited yourself to Coachella with me and I told you at first that you were not welcome, and once you explained that you didn't care about going to the festival and just wanted to talk face to face, I said okay. I did not ask you to come with us. This is all documented via text. You flew out, we slept together, you held my hand, we cuddled and kissed. On the last night you had a headache and you kept pulling me back to lay on you despite the fact that I was trying to pull away and hang out with my friends. You had your arm around me both in private and in public at Coachella and got more into your act as soon as any famous person was around. 5, I let you stay in the house that I paid for. My friends and I, we gave you food, a place to sleep, and I took care of you. I got you into Coachella VIP. I bought you a first class flight home because you wanted to stay longer, and you borrowed both mine and my friend's clothes because you came in a backpack. All of these statements are correct, right? Gage says, I'm not reading all of that because I'm not explaining that less is more. I'm just saying I'm not a con artist. Oh, girl. James said, I'm not asking you to explain anything. Read what I just wrote. Gage said, you have a video. Sometimes people make actions based on emotions in the spur of the moment. 2, I asked you to unblock me because I was curious. 3, I said I was straight in FaceTime but then continued to said I had been curious to say. 4, you said the only way for you not to cry was to kiss you even though I said I was uncomfortable doing that. 5, thanks for all that I said. James then replied to this and said, I did not say you kissing me was the only way I would stop crying. That is a complete lie. You asked me if I was upset because you didn't want to kiss me, and I said I was upset because of many things I was dealing with for the past several weeks, including my family problems, internet scandals, and emotional conflicts, and that your mixed messages were now adding to that. After I said that, you kissed me and continued to do so for the next 2 days, straight multiple times voluntarily. Is that correct? Gage said, I have pictures of you saying you love scandals and it'll only bring you more and bigger, but obviously that won't be brought up. I did ask you, are you crying because I won't kiss you? And you said yes, but I'm not gonna say that either. James then said, no, I said that was one of the many things that was leading me to be upset in that moment. Is the above message what I said true, yes or no? Gage replied and said, is it true or false? It's both and doesn't matter because that won't be brought up in the video. Like, it can't be both. Facts are not two things. A fact is a singular thing. Like, it either was or it wasn't. And none of us really know what actually happened regardless of what is said in these text messages. Gage said, I'm just saying I'm not the person I was bashed to be. James then said, this is a prime representation of what has been happening for the past 5 months. Me asking you very straightforward questions and you completely avoiding the question. And I agree with that. I actually agree with James Charles on something for once. He is asking him very straightforward, pointed questions. Gage said, I'm not avoiding anything. I gave you an honest answer like I have been doing, which he said you appreciated my honestly in the text so you know I'm not a liar. James said, then answer my question, were all of my statements true or false? Gage then replied and said, I'm going to be super professional about all of this. And I've seen the video, like it was not super professional. He contradicted himself quite a few times. Gage said there will be no slander. And James replied and said, you avoided my question again. True or false, Gage Gomez. Now, I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, when somebody says your whole name, they mean business. There's literally only 2 people in my life that can say my full name and get away with it. One person being my mother, and the second person being my boyfriend. Now that I have completely read all of those text messages in their entirety, and I'm about to lose my voice, I want to chug a gallon of Mountain Dew. I feel like this whole entire situation could have been avoided, either by one party or the other. This kid, Gage, could have totally avoided this if he did not say that he had to meet James face to face and then go to Coachella. I don't know if he really did try to use James, but it is clear to me that he definitely did play up a role when he went there, because he was kissing James on the cheek. He was entertaining the thought that he could possibly be with James Charles. Now James, on the other hand, he does know that he has a massive following here and that people do use social media influencers for clout, money, followers, all of that stuff. I do think that he should be a little bit more guarded, and definitely when he's going after these so-called straight guys or bi-curious guys, he does need to be more careful, because as a gay man myself, that can put you in some very, very dangerous situations, and I do think that James needs to chill out with doing that. Unless there is something really crazy that develops out of this story, I am not going to be reporting on this anymore, because I am just like sitting here like completely aggravated that I had to read those messages and that I still didn't get really anything from it. I've watched this kid's video, I've seen James on Twitter being like depressed and stuff, and I'm just like, this is a learning lesson for both of them. They're both very young, they both have their whole lives ahead of them, and if you're a social media influencer watching this, learn something from this. Learn something from this. If you have any social media platform, or clout as people like to say on the internet, be very careful in the things that you do and the people that you allow into your life, because you never know their true intentions. I'm completely over this situation. I really want to know what you guys think. If you stuck by to the end of this video, like, you are the real MVP, and I want to know what you think about this down below. Please let me know your thoughts, good, bad, indifferent, down below. Please be respectful of one another, because I know that people have really high-strung opinions about this situation. But until the next time, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.